Hi there. I want to share an interesting experience. One of my friends just shared some post of a psychologist, and it was about interpersonal relationships, and it was especially about when somebody is getting hurt all the time emotionally, and it was stated that not physically, then emotional violence or so. So it was just about a separation, a division of an offender side and the victim side. It is very popular nowadays, I think, as far as I can see in the psychology. And it triggered me a lot. So I just got some serious, very high emotions, very different ones. And it is because I think when I was much younger, I was totally type A personality type, which is very competitive. I was extremely competitive. Sometimes I was even quite aggressive or so, but it was, from my perspective, it was not any harmful desire. It was just about, just communicate myself to the world and just standing by in my borders. So it is just my slightly stronger willpower compared to the other side in situations like in conflicts or so. But never mind. So I was starting from this side, this so-called type A personality. But I suffered extremely. So it was just terrible for me, and all my environment, all the personality type B people just was offended by me all the time, and I really suffered because of this, because I really didn't want to offend anyone. I just in my perspective, I was defending all the time. I was just defending myself, my borders, my feelings, my emotions, and I was fighting against my suffering, and that's all. So of course I had a huge amount of experiences from any type of relationships, like just friendships or romantic relationships, where I totally seemed like the offender type. And this post was about this, and I felt it is just exactly the opposite direction. So it is too far in the other side of the extremities. So I think being offensive and sometimes aggressive is not good. It is not reasonable. It is a bad thing. And this is this extreme. But the other side, when we just try to realize every little tiny action of standing by somebody's own will, and so it's not a good way to communicate this. Okay, let's see it from a different view. I think any classification is not so very good. I mean, life is just much more complex than that. And just for it is very interesting, but from my very hard and strong type A personality start of my life, and a very huge amount of suffering, I had some point in my life, and it was actually my most brutal breakup in my life. It was a very long relationship, and it was the first relationship, important, meaningful, and living together, and so quite a strong and an important relationship. And after the breakup, I just collapsed totally, and I started to blame myself for for every bad thing in the relationship, because I realized finally that okay, I was an offender type of guy in this relationship in the whole time, and I just collapsed and turned internalize. I cannot pronounce this. So I started to internalize all the things, all the problems between me and the outside world, and 6 very tough years just started because I tried to fix myself. I tried to, like, cure my disease of being evil and bad. And I had quite good results, but at the end of the 6th year, which is last year, I think, I felt that I just lost every value in my life. I mean, in the inside. At the same time, I had a good career, good existence, totally self-made, which I was quite very proud of it, and a beautiful wife, a good marriage, and a beautiful little daughter. So, and a very huge amount of good friends who, in a healthy way admired me and accepted me. Everything was just fine in the outside, and even though I felt something is very, very, very bad, I just lost my life. I just lost my passion. I lost everything in myself, in the inside. And for this time, I'm actually in progress, of course, as any time in my life, I think. But right now, I feel that this was just, swapping from the totally type A personality to faking a totally type B personality. Of course, I didn't succeed all the time in the 6 years because my base personality type is exactly the type A, and I think I cannot, hide it totally. Maybe it is impossible or so. But as I faked the type B, sometimes more or less quite in a good way, I just lost my integrity. And in the same time, so the very base of this behavior was that I'm faulty, I am guilty, and I am, I'm just a bad person, and I am constantly trying to fix myself. And from this basis, it is quite trivial that you cannot really feel good because you are, just flawed, just something like a failure. And right now, in the last year or so, or last half, or I don't know, never mind, it's not even important, I started to closing back to the type A personality. But I just realized, and I just experienced that even if I let myself totally uncontrolled, just listen to what is happening inside myself and let things happen to be like they want to be, so I just released my conscious guard. Something just happened. I didn't swap back to the totally type A, reckless, crazy, offender, aggressor-like behaviors. I just, positioned myself, naturally. So I didn't position, it just happened. I experienced myself to behave somewhere in the middle of the scale. Not in the total type A, not in the type B. So not, acting and doing and manipulating all the things to my better results, my better experience, but neither just, underlying and trying to underline to to my environment and fixing myself. So I was just, existing somewhere there. Of course, it is my viewpoint, my experience. But as far as I analyze sometimes my environment, my people around me, it seems it is a correct sensation of me. So probably it is like that. Yeah. But yeah, so and as I was just triggered very much from this post, I experienced some serious emotions, and finally I just calmed down and I realized, I think, some quite good, important thoughts, which is something like, I think any classification is not very valuable for a human being, because I think if somebody is trying to evaluate themselves based on any external cues from the world, which is most probably other persons who has their emotions, their desires, their things, it is just too risky, I think. And in this case we will be the victim in reality. So even if you feel that you suffer in your current relationships, but you feel that you cannot do anything because you are too weak or something, or you are manipulated or offended all the time by your partner, and you just read a very good book from a psychologist, and you just identify by the parameters written in that book that you are hurt in that relationship and the other person is an offender, and you can make this labeling and you gather the strength and the willpower of acting, like for example just exiting, skipping from that relationship, which can be a good thing. It sounds like a good thing because you suffered in that relationship, you felt that you cannot exit, but after reading something and identifying yourself as an offended and the other party an offender, you just gathered the self-confidence and the willpower of just getting out of this relationship, which sounds good, right? But I think if you suffered in that relationship but you couldn't exit because you felt that you are not worthy enough to determine that you are really suffering, and you were manipulated by the other party, you just somehow gave out your strength, your ability to determine your own situation. You just somehow at some point of your life you just gave out your ability, your opportunity to control your life. And in the time when you just read a good book about being offended by an offender, and that book just suggested that you have the right to get out of this relationship, it should have been just very trivial, right? So you just changed your authority outside of yourself, which you gave out of yourself. You just swapped the location from your offender other party of your relationship, so the other person, you just swapped from him or her to the book of the psychologist, and you feel yourself validated and you feel yourself empowered by the knowledge and experience of the psychologist who wrote that book and the many people who are in the background who feel the same. So I think this is just manipulating the place of your authority, the place of your strength. But I think definitely there are worse and better places to put your authority, your sense of your worth, your values. But you know, if you think about it, I think it must be true that the only one place which these things should be located, like your sense of value, your self confidence, your power, your control, your authority, your identity, is just in yourself, without any outside world environmental factors. So for the end and being calmed down, I just felt that this is really why it can trigger me. So I think this is just changing the problems for maybe an easier problem, but I'm not sure, because life is the most complicated stuff in life. Okay, so thank you for hearing my thoughts, and have a nice day.